Hello everyone to our newest podcast. Unlike the last one that was rifled with, say, a desync issues, we'll try this with this one. Joining me on this apparent stage of these 5 nights podcast is...
I am a Stegosaurus.
Apparently we have a Stegosaurus animatronic and a dying Gilbert Godfrey, a animatronic on stage with me. And you guys know me, I'm DGK or Brad or whoever you want to call me.
And
Yeah,
yes,
how are you
tis
doing,
I,
guys?
the Frenchiest fry.
Indeed, because apparently this is a
Oh,
bird.
no.
Anyway,
Alright, fine. What's going on, guys? It's Eric. Or Thunderstar, whichever. You people know me by now, for God's sake.
I mean, I'd be concerned if they didn't.
indeed, since it's pretty much a 50-50 chance on who's showing up nowadays on my channel along with me.
Okay, let's get down to business.
We're gonna talk about this recently ended hit phenomenon, Five Nights at Freddy's. Please. Once claimed to be one of the scariest games of all time, but nowadays it's kinda dying.
I think of it as possibly the most overrated piece of shit ever, but that's just me.
I don't exactly blame you, good sir, but we'll save that as the podcast go on. But for those who have been living under a rock and don't know what the hell's going on, here's a little bit of a about the story in a nutshell, if you will, along with the first game's plot and thoughts. By the way, these images aren't exactly asked by Scott, so so if there's some legal issues, then this is just purely fan-made.
Just give credit where it's due in the tags and description. You should be fine.
Oh, right.
Yeah, once you do that, YouTube won't really care as badly.
Touche. Anyway,
Just saying.
Five Nights at Freddy's, they are typically some kind of a worker at night, a job, which seems to be normal.
You want me to solve it?
No, Ian?
Would you like me to fill that in for you?
Sure, why not?
Basically, you are a underappreciated and very little underpaid worker who is basically signing into a job that, for most intents and purposes, no one in the right mind would actually afford, basically because the pay rate is beyond low, and you are basically charged as the night guard of a pizzeria known as Freddy Fazbear's. You're given a warning about, hey, the animatronics like to roam at night and you're usually kind of weird. In which you kind of find out later on that said animatronics want to really have you dead by stuffing you into a suit because they do not think you are an animatronic like you. So they will stuff you in a suit, and thus it will kind of crush you due to the way the suits are built. So you are to spend 5 nights literally at Freddy's in order to survive and, well, not get jump scared in essence by the game.
Or, if you're really masochistic, or want to be a completionist, you have 2 extra days.
To which you're basically fired because, I don't know.
Because,
And again, you only were paid like $120 that entire week, which is not worth it.
indeed. Even taking away the whole animatronics trying to kill you.
Either way, silly plot.
Indeed. Which we know is kind of silly, considering that in the first game, when you get a game over, well, let's just say the only things, and I quote, that'll ever see the light of day would be your eyeballs and teeth.
Yeah. Honestly, there's not a whole lot left. There's really not... What we basically said is the closest thing the plot will show you and infer. Really, other than that, there's not really much of a story to Five Nights at Freddy's. At least not the first game.
Or unless...
Other than the few tidbits that's given to you from the phone guy, who is a mysterious person who kind of gives you some tips about the call, who may or may not have been a person from, in the past.
And who pretty much... who pretty much died on the 4th night, meaning that, well, like we just went, on the 5th night you're kind of boned.
Well, some people say it was probably killed off. Or again, it's possible that these are just mere recordings that were just kind of given to you. So again, this could have been easily pre-recorded.
Yeah, true. either way, the only other pieces of a story you'll find is if you look really hard in it. Like during some days you'll find some newspaper articles explaining a child murder.
Which which basically fans kind of blew up and started creating stories that really kind of didn't exist in the first place.
We'll get to that in its own special part of the podcast, good sir.
Oh no, I will be throwing all the shots. So if you all have problems getting it, come at me, guys. I do not care.
Indeed.
The Ian has spoken.
Indeed. Which I have a feeling the fan base is going to be attacking me considering this will be my video.
Fanbase will be attacking all three of us.
Again, I really don't care. I have no love for the series.
So let me just toss this disclaimer in here now. Everything we are saying here is our own opinion.
Because remember, Internet, not everyone agrees with you.
Exactly. It's like a top 10 list. It's your personal opinion. Not based on everyone else's, just yours.
Indeed.
Exactly, so,
You need to
again,
be an ass about it.
you can choose. You have a choice to be offended.
Indeed.
Keep that in mind. You can choose to be offended, so...
Indeed.
3 people, and one especially irritated asshole on the internet, should not really matter to you to be that offended over a game that you probably like.
Indeed. So if you like it, good for you. If not, no skin off our asses.
Pretty much.
Anyway, time for what I'd call the actual stars of the series. The animatronics. Now, one thing I personally enjoy about the series is, no matter what people say, is basically the concept, if you will. Like animatronics trying to kill you, because, well, I'm sure there are some kids out there, including me, who actually had a bit of a fear of animatronics.
True. I suppose it works that way, but at the same time, when you, I guess, realize why they're wanting to quote-unquote kill people, it's kind of silly in their own right that no one really thought of programming their animatronics a little better, considering they actually gave them, like, active free roaming will, or other such nonsense. Like, apparently, like, in some cases, facial scanners at a time where that kind of wasn't really a thing.
Not to me. Well, let me put you this way, Ian. They kind of pay you $100 a week. I doubt they care that much.
I know that, but like I said, I'm referring to, like, in a time period sense, half of what exists in these games kind of don't really match, and should actually work in that specific way.
And that's fair enough. Then again, I kind of step away from the whole time scale bit, considering that's a whole can of worms.
Like, again, having robots that are able to recognize with facial scanners in the 80s or so.
Heck, but at some point we didn't even exactly have this awesome looking Call of Duty shit. All we had were missiles.
To be fair, we were barely trying to tap into the mere things of biometrics. And in terms of facial recognition, we're still kind of working on that to a degree even now.
Indeed.
Don't quote me on that because I might be actually wrong, but even so, we didn't necessarily have the exact extreme capabilities like that in the 80s.
Indeed. But then again, isn't exactly conceived in the 80s, so what the hell would I know? Anyway, there's one. I kind of enjoy the animatronics in a strange way, considering that, well, they actually... Alright, that kind of comes back to my whole concept thing. Though, funny enough, the creator admits that Bonnie, aka the rabbit one, for those who still live under rocks, Hux pretty much gave him nightmares. The fanbase say that Foxy's the scariest. I tend to disagree with both.
And the rest of the fan base pretty much sees all of them as literal means of shipping for perverted fan art.
Indeed, which, for those of you who know me on DA, kinda know that's a bit of a reason why I'm not exactly considering myself a full-fledged fan of the series. The fan base is just... ugh. Anyway, I'll just say this. Foxy's my favorite, considering that in each game he normally found a way to make me laugh. Even just because the first literal image I saw him was the infamous Sweetie Sweetie coming for that booty pic. Everyone else either was kind of bland or kind of inspires some bit of nightmare fuel. Hey, bad pun.
Moving on.
Alright. Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Who's
Indeed.
one thought? Well, you guys remember in our Fire Emblem podcast where we kind of discussed a strange sequel-prequel thing with Rekka no Ken? Imagine that with this game.
No! Because I wasn't there!
That's because we didn't invite you, good sir. It was me and Ian.
Exactly!
Anyway. In...
Alright, how about this? Do you like the same game?
Yeah!
It's basically the same game as the first game. Minus having doors, only you have flashlights, and you have a massive headline. Other than that, it's
And you have
basically
double
the exact
animatronics.
same game you just played, like, months ago.
And you have...
Again, like I said,
And not to mention you have double the animatronics.
even so, it's still the same game that you played months ago from the first game.
I wasn't exactly denying your point, good sir. I was more aiding it.
I know. I'm just
Ow.
kind of irritated right now over this. I don't know.
Either way, I'll say, hey this. One thing that kind of makes me laugh is what I told Ian months ago when this was kind of new. Oh, back when they weren't exactly getting nuts over it. It pretty much...
Right. Moving on.
Anyway, before we do so, the hilarious thing I was talking about, my thought why they didn't have the doors is because of Foxy's jump scare, where, you know, he lunges at the player. As soon as he does so, you can just close the door and pfft, right in the nostril.
Eh.
I'm sorry, but that's still kind of a hilarious thought. Anyway,
I suppose.
Five Nights at Freddy's 3 is actually kind of different. You have... Actually, it's probably the...
Why did you people ask for a third game? That's all I'm gonna ask, is why.
I will say this, though, it's kind of changed up from the previous two games. You only have one animatronic that really kills you.
Allow me... Brad, allow me.
Oh, sorry.
Okay?
Thank you. There.
Allow me to finally give my... you know, I don't even know what to call it. Anyway, Five Nights at Freddy's 3 is apparently, as it is to be said, a form of prequel/sequel to the first one. And, well, the animatronics are basically destroyed. They're nothing but phantoms at this point.
Except for one.
And you are only being hunted down by one animatronic, which is a yellow version of Bonnie, known as Springtrap.
Which,
The end.
which is practically a almost sent... The best way I can describe Springtrap is, imagine an Iron Maiden that actually hunts you.
Unless you basically just do the equivalency of, hey, I'm going to play a noise in one room and basically keep just doing that.
Not to mention one
It's-
interesting thing about the Phantoms. Since they're hallucinations, they don't outright kill you. But they're not exactly...
If anything, it's basically that thing of like, from what I can figure from like a gameplay perspective, it's just like, we can't think of anything new. I know. Let's make jump scares basically that force problems onto yourself, who pretty much makes it harder for you to do your job to get killed by the ultimate jump scare. that can basically be lured away by the simple giggling of a child, which is
morally incorrect.
Which can
it's not really morally incorrect. It's just yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of odd when you guys figure out who's in Springtrap suits. Which then again kind of makes you question some things, but
Which I'm going to say the game does not outright tell you this at all. You have to figure this out by literally the most asinine of ways, really, which no one in the right mind would ever figure this out.
Basically.
yep. Pretty much a point-and-click horror version of, well, a new Zelda game. Not gonna figure out.
Not even a Zelda game. Zelda games had more sense than that. Not even, no. This is like an adventure game in which you need a 1 pixel coin, and if you miss it, you lose.
Okay, well, I have one more thing I must give a bit of an input into.
For the third game, alright.
Okay. Well, you want to know who's in the suit? You want to know who's controlling the suit? Play the game yourself. We're not here to tell you everything. Move on.
Exactly.
Indeed. Unless you look at the comment section of this, probably, where people are pretty much going to spoil things anyway and cause retarded for bashing this.
Basically, moving on.
Like I said, they can go ahead. I could really care less what they think.
Five
I'll
Nights
throw a
at
brick.
Freddy's for and plots and thoughts. This is the closest thing I actually feel is a... No, I used to dislike Five Nights at Freddy's 3 for having less options. Five Nights at Freddy's 4 kind of felt like... I don't know, the one with the best idea of a concept.
Allow me to explain this one so Ian can not froth out the mouth. You want backstory? Here it is. Moving on.
Actually, well, I'll give my thoughts because I'm gonna just say
shit, there
it
we go.
very short and sweet. It's not gonna be pretty what I say about 4. Say hello to the most unnecessary sequel next to like the next 2 unnecessary sequels in a series of games that its only real way of trying to reinvent itself is pretty much taking away any kind of an interesting concept it has and forces you in the same boring suburban household. And by giving you the illusion of maybe something is new, they give you the free agency to just wobble around like a fat elephant on roller skates on ice, basically, in the small fraction of your house. That is basically it.
I will say this, however. This is the one time during these podcasts where I would kind of slightly disagree with Ian with something. Five Nights at Freddy's 4 I didn't think was that bad of a concept, considering that, well, you're pretty much a bunch of kids stuck in pretty much a nightmarish state, where we kind of get to see some actual things about the whole events, like the bite of A7. Which, to be honest, kind of made me laugh when we saw who it was. I think it was pretty much the person who made it, pretty much laughing at the people who gave those theories on who caused the bite. You guys thought it was this one? It was neither of them! It turns out to be this guy we never brought up till now. Then again, there are some people who are in denial and say that's not the bite of 57, but A7. But yeah, speaking of some personal thoughts and theories, which was an interesting segue for me.
I think there's no. I think I have nothing else to say. I've given my thoughts throughout this an entire video. I think.
I will. Let me put it this way: some theories can hold some more. Others hold it as well as a pipe, with nothing attached to it. Just a hollow pipe.
I got nothing.
Well, as you may have heard about, well, if you guys remember a few seconds ago, about the whole bite thing. The game theorists has pretty much said that it would be impossible for it to happen when, well, losing your frontal lobe would pretty much kill the majority of your fears. Or something like that. Which I'm not going to deny, but Pretty much saying that a person in Five Nights at Freddy's 4 isn't exactly a friend and or related to the kid who got the said bite. It, on the other hand, is kind of dull, and I honestly thought that's kind of a cool idea, if you will. Actually makes it a little bit more interesting, as if the person was feeling guilt about, well, not stopping the whole event.
Oh, I'll mention this. Do you guys know that there's actually supposedly a movie being made for this?
Oh shit, I forgot.
Because
about
that's
that.
actually totally a thing. They're making a movie. Like, it actually effing needs one.
I'm not gonna give up hope on it just yet, though if I see Michael Bay or Shyamalan's name on it, then I would probably consider it dead. Both for completely different reasons. But we're not exactly here to rant about those two directors.
Too late, we're already there.
Even though I just started.
I kid. I kid.
Anyway, even though this is probably even though Ian's probably going to be a dead horse about it,
I'm stopping now because I've already said my piece.
I got nothing to say.
Favorite things about the
Like,
series. I've already mentioned it with the whole idea of animatronics coming to kill you, and my whole idea of Five Nights at Freddy's 4's protagonist.
I got nothing.
In case you guys spaced out, here's the gist. It's like the concept because of possible phobias against animatronics. The thing about Five Nights at Freddy's 4 with me, I thought would be more interesting if it's really just a relative or someone who knows the victim of the bite of A7. Heyo! And final thoughts, which, now looking at the clock, is our quickest podcast ever. If we made it this far. Or so soon.
Yeah. Again, I feel like I am justified in my thoughts.
So,
I really find the series to be really overrated, and I'll be looking forward to whatever the next craze that will take over the internet's like collective mass, so people can finally leave this like unnecessary like series to go rot away into the ages of obscurity, hopefully. Ugh.
and your thoughts, good Sir Eric?
I got none.
Am I?
Also, one more thing: jump scares are not scary.
Unless you're
If you're wanting jumps, I'll give my incentive on this one. If you want a jump scare to be scary, do it right. That's all. That's all I gotta. That's it.
In this, I will say this, however, if you're very susceptible, whatever,
Susceptible.
yes, to jump scares like I am, then it will give you some jumps. My final thoughts in the series is, it's not exactly the holy grail of gaming, but considering the creators' previous works being Christian-related games that feature kind of creepier CGI than this, then I would certainly say this is a vast improvement over his other games. Not to mention, and one kind of downfall for this, actually two downfalls for the series for me. One is the aforementioned fan base who either makes such bad shit and theories that it would probably, which I would probably think would pretty much kill the fan base if Rule 34 wasn't a thing. And the fact that, well, the games didn't exactly have much room to breathe when it came to releases. I mean, the first one was released around last year, am I correct, guys?
I have no idea.
If I'm wrong, then I'm sorry about the first bit of this. The next game, however, was out on around the Christmas season of last year. Yeah, a sequel before the game was even a couple months old. Actually, never mind, I just saw the hole in that bit. Final Fantasy Phrase 3 came out around March of this year. Final Fantasy Phrase 4 came out less than 2 months ago. So pretty much the franchise is finished off before it was even a year old. Not exactly a confident. Doesn't exactly sound competent, if you ask me.
Well, either way, I think, well, if you're asking me, and if you want my opinion on this, I think we've all kind of given our thoughts. Ian's trying not to froth out the mouth, and yeah, so.
And before you people bring up the whole Gen 6 of Pokemon bit, at least they waited for Pokemon X and Y to be a year before RS was released.
We weren't even going anywhere near that.
Anyway.
I think this was a successful podcast.
Indeed. Despite some possible fans jumping down our throats. So, So, for now, guys, I think we'll end this off and well, hold ourselves in some flame retardant and things, because things are gonna burn hard after this posting.
But we'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, this is Eric, Ian, and Brad signing off. See you guys later.
See you next. I'll see you guys and I'll see you guys next time when I feel like recording another episode of Fire Emblem Recca no Ken or Pokemon Randomizer. Or if you are subscribed to Eric, my cameos in his Silver Randomizer LP. I know, Randomizer LP, double... I screwed up that joke.
Let's just end the video then, shall we?
Indeed.
Let's just end.
Indeed, the final day of the series.
So until then, goodbye.
The final night, the final day complete.